You guys want to talk about Connor McDavid for a second before we get into the Leafs, right?
A little.
The 100-point thing is getting stupid. Like
dude, he's almost there.
It's ridiculous if he gets 100 points in 56 games. Like that's the best pace since Mario Lemieux peaked in the 90s.
So what's he at right now? Because I know they played last night, but I missed it.
Points-wise?
McDavid. Yeah, last I checked, he was at 81 in 46, I think.
He's at 84 in 47.
He had 84?
Yeah.
Stop. Okay, so I need to amend my little tweet then that I was about to read because Connor, you freaking... How is this possible? Okay, so he is officially on.
Can we clip that? By the way, that was quite the reaction.
He made me malfunction.
Just anything happens, Steve goes.
So okay, here's what I tweeted. Connor McDavid is on pace for 98.6 points in 56 games. By the way, updated after one single game, 100 points flat. He is on pace for 100 points. Let's round up and say 99, I said. No, let's say 100, Stephen. That would give him more points in a 56-game season than 5 of the 20 Art Ross Trophy winners, so scoring title winners, since the year 2000. His pace is 1 point back, now tied, of the 2017 winner, Connor McDavid.
Unbelievable.
He's if he gets 100, he'll have more points, or as many, now that we can add 2017 in there, than more than 25% of the scoring title winners since the year 2000. Yes, that includes Marty St. Louis from 2013. Who had the 48-game season, but he only had 60 points. That pace, not even close. Not even close. What Connor McDavid is doing this season is special, truly, truly special. And he's been held off the score sheet, I believe it was in 9 games this season. So
mostly against the Leafs.
On this pace.
Right.
3 of them were against the Leafs consecutively, and 3 were against Montreal. I forget the other 3.
A game like Winnipeg 2 nights ago, he's playing Winnipeg and he has a hat trick. It was a Monday night and they sat him. Like he played 16 minutes that night and he had 4 points.
Mm-hmm. He's like Steph Curry.
He took the fourth quarter off because he had too much points. Like,
oh my God.
He's so far and away above better than everybody else in the NHL that it's starting to be absurd.
Well, that's why I was trying to say earlier about the Leon Draisaitl thing. It's not that Leon, I would want to diminish Leon's talent. It's just that anybody next to Connor McDavid seems like an ant. He's a giant. He's unbelievable. And I mean, he's no Andrew Ference, but he's quickly going to become the face of this league. And it'll be nice with a little bit of Sean Horkoff. Do you remember, by the way, when Sean Horkoff re-signed in Edmonton? And the Calgary Flames Twitter account said, "What a stupid deal, idiots!" And then, and it was somebody that meant to do it from their own Twitter account, but was signed into the Flames Twitter account. And they got fired.
I didn't know it was Horkoff. I do remember.
And it was he signed for 2 years, $5 million apiece, and that was a lot of money for Sean Horkoff. And then, it was like, "What a dumb deal this is, it's idiots!"
From the official Flames account. That's amazing. No, they should have given that guy a promotion. Come on, I think so. Battle of Alberta. How dare you?
I think I do want to talk about Oilers a little bit later in the show too, guys. So let's save some of this. Sure. But if Connor McDavid hasn't been on your radar all year, he should be. And I'm excited to see what happens to Connor McDavid's career after the ESPN and the TNT deals kick in. At what point do we start giving Wiiliam Nylander credit for scoring in front of the net?
None. No,
he led the team in net front goals last season.
No, but what national team does he play for?
Sweden.
Can't do it.
No.
Can't do it. No player from Sweden has ever scored goals in front of the net.
I have a serious question here.
This is a joke, by the way.
Would anybody think players from Sweden were soft if it wasn't for Don Cherry?
Probably not. I don't know.
Where did that come from? Because here's the thing with Swedes are known to be benevolent to each other, with their universal health care, and they're looking after each other. But the the idea that Swedish players are soft is the only person I've ever heard that from in the media is Don Cherry. And when you look at the first Swedish players to play in the NHL, and I'm thinking specifically Boris Salming, not soft, tough.
They were just targeted.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you grow up in like literally the frozen north. Like we think we got winters. Stockholm's like exactly. Stockholm's like, oh, it's bright till midnight up here. Like it's they're way further
or dark at 2 in the afternoon.
Exactly. I'm very sort of surprised that they get stuck with that still. And Willie doesn't throw a bunch of hits, but he doesn't need to.
He is a brick shithouse, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah,
he's strong.
Hard to knock off the puck.
Oh yeah,
I think Don Cherry definitely was the like flag bearer of national xenophobia within hockey. You know, like I think he really
Sweden.
No, I think towards any European really what was he on TV for 35 years? 40 years. Yeah, I think when you're on national TV in Canada for 40 years and you keep saying the same points over and over again for 40 years, and one of those points is I don't like European hockey players, I think it's going to get into this the game a little. And I think it definitely did. And it created these terrible narratives.
And the ones who were tough, he called rats. You know, like a guy like Kasperitis, who was kind of a cheap shot artist, but you know what I mean.
But so were Darcy Tucker and Ty Domi, and we love them.
Exactly.
Right? And we loved having them on the team. So
absolutely. And a guy like Don Cherry, I think is sort of put at the forefront. Well, one, because he was on a national broadcaster, but two, because he lasted so long. But there's this footage that I can't for the life of me find, but I saw it once. I saw it with my own eyes. And it was Harold Ballard talking about a player on his own team. I want to say it was a Czech player. I want to say it was Peter Anacek. And someone asked him a question about him. It sure was. And someone asked him a question about him point blank. And he says into the camera, he goes, he's a dumb Czech. Into the camera. I couldn't believe it. If
you look up any Harold Ballard interviews from the CBC archives, which by the way are available for free online, like there was one with a woman host.
Oh yeah,
and she has him and somebody else on her show, and he says to the other man on the show, "Can somebody shut this woman up?" Harold Ballard
have not seen this.
It's not a seeable; it's a listen. It wasn't filmed. He was on the phone. Harold Ballard was the worst. He was terrible.
I remember I did a project on him like in elementary school. It was like grade 3 or 4. And the book that I took out from the library obviously had information that was over my head at that age. And I remember having to ask my parents, like, why? There was a quote in there. He called him a bunch of frogs. And I'm like, what does this mean? Like, I've watched Bugs Bunny. I don't understand this insult.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had to explain it to me.
Yeah. And I wanted to say something. I don't think the entire blame is on Don Cherry, because I would assume like people like Ballard and the company he would keep around him would perpetuate those stereotypes as well. Like I don't think anybody was standing around arguing with Cherry about Europeans. I think there was a lot of people probably who agreed with him during those times, during those 40 years, you know?
McLean would argue with him, and then people would call him soft.
Right. And then there's the whole cavalry of defense who are like yelling at Ron and being like, shut up, let Don talk. And yeah.
Oh, I guess.
Well, I remember because my parents worked at the CBC and sold Hockey Night in Canada. My dad and stepmom, and
like sales team.
Yeah, and they would have to deal with clients like French Canadian clients calling and going, he can't say this. Like,
oh wow.
And he was hard on Canadians. Like it was like he's like, oh, these, remember the Frenchies with the visors thing that blew up and was like especially big in Quebec. That was
really not long ago.
It was not long ago. It wasn't. I mean, I was a kid, but it wasn't long ago. And I think so. The reason I asked that question is because, you know, I can understand a cabal of people at the top of hockey maybe thinking that or whatever. And that was also part and parcel of the fact that the Europeans played a much more finesse-oriented game, especially the Russians. It wasn't about the hits. It was about skating and shooting and scoring. And for some reason, he's the only guy I can actually point to that was saying that publicly at the time. Although my context isn't great because I wasn't alive for a lot of it. So I wonder if that was just something where the average person thought that too, which is weird. It's a very odd thing to think and a very ignorant thing to think, frankly.
There are legitimate criticisms of Wiiliam Nylander, but I can't help but think how much easier of a time he'd have if his name was Mark Scheifele.
What's the difference? Mark's a center. Mark scores a lot of points.
One's better at defense, and it's
Willie.
Yeah. Dude.
Who's been benched this season more? Scheif.
Willie was almost scratched and wasn't just because of the injury, but
and he was benched for a play. He was benched for a period.
What if his name was Blake Wheeler? Yeah. And I'm not picking on the Jets. It's just those two are bad at defense. But
what if we just change the expectations on players? It's the Line A thing. I think Wiiliam Nylander suffers from the same thing that Line A is facing right now. It's, hey, this guy's a great goal scorer. Let him go be that. Don't expect the defense from, because you need all of these different parts on a hockey team to win games and to be a Stanley Cup champion. What if Wiiliam Nylander's not the guy you have chasing back on every back check? What if he's the guy on his line you get the puck to because he's going to shoot it and score? And he's going to play.
But then he does. He does those things you just mentioned and doesn't get credit for it.
But then he also does the back checking stuff and he does play in the corners and he doesn't get credit. But you can also just not expect those things if that's not the type of player he is, and don't criticize him for that. And then when he does it, it's even higher than what you expected.
I think also this team, we've just, since they were introduced to the NHL, we've thought they were older than they are. And I forget all the time. I forget all the time. And, I think about Austin Matthews, is he 23 or 24?
3, I want to say.
23. Mm-hmm. So I think about, there's lots of 23-year-olds in the NHL and have been in the NHL. But then I think about myself at 23. What a shithead. What a dumbass. And this dude is he's playing as grown up as he's ever played.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so is Willie. And so is Mitch. And so is Dermott, to go to, a little further down the lineup.
Is that because they're growing up?
Yeah. A little bit. Isn't that amazing?
Crazy.
Yeah. That thing that happens to most people is happening to them.
The window for this team is still so far open. Your point about them being younger than we think, it's so true. They've been Austin Matthews been in the league. This is what, 5th year. He got out of his entry level deal last season. Last season was his first year not on his entry level contract. Yeah. That's insane. We think these guys have been around forever. They should have won by now. And no, it's a core that they're just getting into where they're peaking now. This team has finally come together. Last season, it wasn't there. They were 8th seed and they didn't make the playoffs, so they didn't make the Stanley Cup playoffs. And now we're seeing it come together. So it might take even not even this season. It might take a couple more years for them to actually get to their highest of talent levels. And it's going to be fun to watch. We got to keep remembering they're so young. Yeah,
win a damn round.
Win a damn round.
But and also, let me just throw this out there: old man or Morgan Riley, who's been around forever, is 28.
I don't even know if he's. Oh yeah.
That's it, right? That's it.
I'm surprised he's even that old.
Riley's 27.
27.
Wow.
Has Morgan Riley been eligible for free agency yet?
No.
Unrestricted.
Unrestricted.
After next season. I think after next season.
And he signed his restricted deal, I think, didn't he sign it with a year? No, maybe he didn't sign it with a year left, but they signed it before he went even to restricted free agency.
And that's the old guy.
Yeah.
Him and Nas signed deals the same day. And it's some of the tidiest contract work, honest to goodness, this team has ever done.
I think that was Lou. Mm-hmm. That was Lou Lamoriello.
I think it was them. It was coming off the year where they finished last. I'm pretty sure he got Mo and Nas for 6 years each.
Yeah, and at a total of $8.5 million.
Morgan Riley's signing date of his current contract is April 13th, 2016. 6 years, $30 million. Unbelievable.
Beautiful birthday present to
6 times 5. Oh.